So thanks for joining today. This will mainly just be a kind of information sharing session for all interested businesses. We want to let everyone know about the Highland Cup Movement and how you can get involved, including how you might be able to participate in some upcoming workshops. I think there's just some others. Oh, here's Paul. So today's session will be interactive. We'll be looking to hear from you on some of the key topics that you'd like to discuss and help design the project so that it works really well for you and for everyone involved. So if you do have any questions, please do use the chat function. But if you'd like also to wait until the end, we have a little Q&A session, and then we'll also be running a poll later in today's webinar. I think we can probably get started, and then if there's anyone else that comes in, I'll let them in, but otherwise, yeah, Alison, over to you.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much, Carla. Thank you very much to everyone who's been able to join us this afternoon. My name is Alison Limbert. I work for Keep Scotland Beautiful, which is Scotland's environmental charity, and we will be delivering the Highland Cup Movement project. So before I start introducing the Highland Cup project, I thought it would be quite useful to set the scene and explain a little bit about the circumstances that we're in, which I think identifies why we had the need for the Highland Cup Movement project. So we have over 3 billion takeaway drinks which are sold each year in the UK, with over 95% of these served in single-use cups. And then only 4% of those cups are being recycled. So mainstreaming the use of reusable takeaway cups is an essential part of efforts to reduce the negative environmental impact of on-the-go food and drink packaging. In a recent study by Hubbub and Starbucks, it identified that 73% of people think that more needs to be done to make it easier to choose alternatives to single-use food and drink packaging. However, we understand, and particularly in this current climate, that as a small business, you may not have the time and/or the investment to explore alternative solutions to single-use cups. And then at the same time, from the customer perspective, there's been an increase in the amount of people owning and using reusable cups. But this is an incomplete solution and has had a limited success in changing behaviour. So the onus is making it on the customer to provide the reusable cup. It compromises the spontaneity and the convenience that's at the heart of on-the-go culture. So for reusable cups to be a viable alternative to single-use cups, we think that there needs to be a scheme that's designed to be both convenient and accessible, which fits with this on-the-go culture. And this is where the Highland Cup movement comes in. We, Keep Scotland Beautiful, have been awarded funding from Hubbub and Starbucks to trial a reusable cup scheme that will begin in the 2023 tourist season in the Highlands area of the NC 500. The scheme will essentially provide a pool of reusable cups that can be easily accessed and that will be an alternative to single-use cups, which customers can borrow from participating businesses, and that they can then be returned at other participating businesses at the customer's convenience, which they can then be further used within the system. So the Highland Cup movement aims to make it easier for businesses and for customers to choose to use a reusable cup when purchasing takeaway drinks in the NC 500 area of the Highlands. The pilot scheme would operate at key nodes all around the NC 500 route, and we plan to offer a chain of convenient reusable pick-up and drop-off points along the routes, situated at key thoroughfares and stop-off points. So we're seeking businesses that sell takeaway drinks in the area around the NC 500 route. We want you to join us in the Highland Cup movement. We're working with local partners that include North Coast 500, Highland Good Food Partnership and Zero Waste Scotland. We have Resource Futures to support us during the co-design phase of the project. And so to begin this co-design phase, we published an expression of interest document, which is available to have a look on our website on the Highland Cup page. And we can make all these links available after this webinar today. So the webinar is the first in the series of engagement events for interested businesses to help in co-designing the reusable cup trial. We want to make sure the trial will work for everyone involved, from the perspective of the customer and of the local business. So your input is key. In today's webinar, we want to introduce ourselves and introduce the trial to you, but we also want to be able to get your feedback on some of the key operational considerations that need to be ironed out, and where you'll be able to input your ideas and considerations in upcoming workshops, which will happen after Christmas. So Resource Futures will be helping to facilitate these workshops, and we'll discuss some of the key operational trial details together. So I'm going to pass over back to Carla from Resource Futures.
Thanks, Alison. So my name is Carla Worth. I'm a senior consultant at Resource Futures. We are an independent environmental consultancy based in Bristol. And we're really happy to be supporting Keep Scotland Beautiful on their Highland Cup Movement project. And we really look forward to hearing from you and kicking off the workshops later on in January. And just to explain our role a little bit, we will be mainly here to help gather information. And so we won't necessarily be making the decision on which view or which opinion is the right course of action. But we do think that it's a great opportunity for lots of ideas to be discussed. And I think we'll give a flavor of that in today's webinar. So in just a moment, I'm going to pass back over to Alison, who will present the headline topic areas of the different operational considerations that we would like to discuss through the workshops. So while we're going through these, please do listen and take any notes that you need, kind of thinking about where you might like to learn more or input your ideas and maybe which ones you might lend your experience to. And then at the end of this, we will open up a poll and we'll ask you to select your top choices for which topics to cover in the dedicated workshops in January. And I should say as well that we can't guarantee at this moment that all will be taken forward into the workshops, but it's a really useful exercise for us to understand where your priorities lie. And then as well, if you're not able to make any of the workshop dates, you'll still have the opportunity to provide your thoughts by emailing the Highland Cup email address, and we'll make that available in the chat after this, along with all the other links that we've discussed. We just ask that if you're not able to make the workshop dates and you would still like to contribute your ideas through the email, that you do this before the end of January, which will be the conclusion of the workshops. So I'll just pass over now back to Alison, who will introduce the different topic areas.
Thank you very much, Carla. So yes, the first topic we can potentially discuss in the workshops after Christmas is looking at how we can market the scheme and the reusable cup trial. So the types of things that we could be discussing is how could we effectively communicate with customers to drive demand, and then also overcome any customers' perceived barriers to using the reusable cup scheme. So key questions might include, where do you suggest are good places to reach potential customers, both in person and online? What barriers should we anticipate, and how should we try and address those barriers up front? What do you think will be the key benefit to customers from reusing the reusable cup scheme? And what would attract people to using the reusable cup scheme? The second potential topic we could talk about is customer participation. And by doing that, we would be exploring the steps taken by a customer in using a reusable cup scheme. So key questions we could discuss would include reviewing the journey of a customer under the different reusable cup systems. There are a number of systems out there, and during the workshops, we can explain those systems to you, and together we can explore what would the perspective be from a customer in using the different systems. So for example, do they pay a deposit for the reusable cup? And is that deposit taken with the sale of their drink? Do they register in advance for an account on the reusable cup system and share their account details when they order and they pay for the drink? The third topic we could look at is exploring the actions which are undertaken by the server or the barista in a business. And we could explore the actions that would be taken in processing the drinks order and preparing the drink when someone wants to utilise the reusable cup scheme. And key questions could include reviewing the different steps taken at the business under the different reusable cup systems. So for example, when an order is placed, How would the server record a cup has been issued from the reusable cup system? What would the impact be on the flow of how you prepare a drink if the reusable cup system required an identified cup to be matched with the customer's order? The fourth topic would be how to incentivise the return of reusable cups. And in that, we could review and we could evaluate the different methods available to incentivise customers to return the cup once they've finished using it. And key questions could include, would the customer prefer a reusable cup system where a deposit is redeemed when the cup is returned back? Or would there be a preference for the customer incurring some type of financial penalty or having to pay for the cup if the cup hasn't been returned within a defined time period? And would you, as a business, have a preference for either system? And why? What's the basis on what that preference is based on? The fifth topic is exploring the journey of a cup when the customer has finished with it. And we will be looking to investigate the methods for how to collect the cups, get them cleaned and get them ready for use again. And key questions that we could look at include, would a customer generally return a used cup when they visit a business to buy another drink? Or would they return that cup when they visit a designated collection point? What capacity is there in your business for storing and washing cups from a reusable cup scheme? And then the last topic, topic 6, that we could look at is exploring the data to monitor usage of the reusable cup system and to manage the flow of cups. So in that, we could review how to collect and how to use the information to track the cups and their usage. And key questions that we could look to include would include, what information does your business collect from sales of drinks and takeaway cups? How often would you have the capacity to review sales data and data that could be available from a reusable cup system? So that's the 6 potential topics that we could look at. And now I'm going to pass back to Carla, and she's going to explain the system about how we can collect your preferences about what topics you'd like to discuss in the workshops after Christmas.
Thank you, Alison. Yeah, there's a lot packed in there, and I hope that has piqued your interest. So we will now, well, in a moment, just now share a poll, and we'll ask you to rank which of the topics that Alison just went through, rank them in order of interest. So 1, the top, will be your top choice for what you would like to discuss, and then the lower down you go in the list will be the sort of lower priority or lower interest in discussing further through the workshops, and those will be in the end of January. So as you're just filling that out, I'll just explain again that there's going to be a total of 3 workshops, and they will all be delivering the same content. But within those workshops, we'll have 2 sets of breakout groups, and this is where we'll be able to discuss these topics in smaller groups. So as I mentioned in the beginning, we can't guarantee just now that we'll be able to cover everything that Alison has just discussed. There's quite a lot in there, but yes, so your answers to the poll today now will be really helpful for us to kind of design those groups and understand where your priorities are and where your biggest concerns lie as well. And then we'll be in touch in early January to confirm what the breakout group topics will be. In the poll, you'll also notice a question. We'll ask you to choose which webinar timings might work best for you just now. But don't worry, yeah, you can definitely change your mind. It's just to give us a rough idea of numbers at the moment now. So yeah, please do click into the link that has just been shared in the chat. And we'll just give you a few moments now to respond. And I should note as well that this poll will be open until the 31st of December. So if you're watching this, if you're catching up on this recording, then you can still submit your answers until the 31st of December. I'll just give a few moments. Okay. Okay, I might move on just in the interest of the recording. Again, this poll will be live, and the recording will be able, or the webinar will be able to be watched afterwards. So we hope to get some more responses in the coming weeks. So yeah, as I just mentioned, today's webinar has been recorded and we will send it round to the participants and those that registered to attend the webinar today. And then the link will also be made available on the Highland Cup Movement webpage for other interested businesses that weren't able to join to catch up at a more convenient time. We know that it's quite a busy time for everyone this year, so we wanted to make sure that we provided you all with enough ways to engage and catch up. And yeah, as Alison mentioned at the beginning, we're really interested in receiving your views for this. So we've also developed a script from today's webinar, and that will also be made available in case people can't watch the recording. You can also just read what we've discussed today, essentially. So all of this will be open and made available until the 31st of December. So please also share with any appropriate or business contacts that you think might be interested in the area. We're definitely interested for this to be shared far and wide. In terms of next steps then, we plan on running 3 workshops, and one will be on a lunchtime slot, one will be in an evening, and then the third one will be on a Saturday morning. As I mentioned, we wanted to try to get as many businesses to attend as possible, so we tried to work around your busy schedules. So the 3 workshop dates are in the poll, but I'll just say them out loud here. So the first is Wednesday, the 18th of January, and that will be the lunchtime slot from 12 until 2 p.m. The second is Tuesday, 31st of January, and that will be on an evening from 7 until 9 p.m. And the third will be Saturday, 4th of December, and that's Saturday morning, so 10 until 12. So please do make a note now and save the date for whichever workshop time or date works best for you. And you only need to attend one of them. You can attend more if you'd like, but you only really need to attend one. And as I mentioned, I'll just repeat again, if you can't make those dates, don't worry, you can still provide your thoughts. We're really interested in hearing your thoughts, so please do email them over to the Highland Cup email address. Just a little bit more about the workshops then. They will be about 2 hours long. They don't really require any preparation. The objective will be just to get as much local knowledge from you as possible in a very short space of time. There was a lot that Alison went through earlier, so it's quite condensed. So we just ask that you come to the workshop with your thoughts and your ideas. If this has sparked anything, listening through Alison's questions, if that has sparked anything, maybe you might want to think about how a reusable cup scheme would work in your business, any issues that you might encounter, and yeah, just bring these ideas with you to the workshop. And we're also going to be asking you about your current approaches to reuse in your business, if you have anything going on, or maybe even the customer demand for drinks in reusable cups in your business. And this is just to help us gauge the current level of interest and knowledge at the moment from the customer base as well. Following the workshops, our role at Resource Futures, we're going to compile an overview report. And in it, we will be discussing all of the ideas that were shared and highlight any of the key factors and parameters for inclusion in the project design. So as I mentioned, we're not really going to be saying this is what we're going to be doing, but it's more kind of summarizing all of the discussion and all of the ideas that were shared. And this will help keep Scotland beautiful and all of the partners to go away and sort of put this into action, ready for rollout in March. So I'll hand over back to Alison now, who is going to discuss some of the other projects that are happening in parallel that is also going to help to inform the development and the design of the scheme.
Thanks, Carla. And just to clarify, the final workshop's on the 4th of February, not the 4th of December. But in December, that's okay. But we're very much December focused at the moment. Yeah. Christmas is coming up. And here for the project, we've been working on trying to engage the local business community, like yourself, in the Highland area, to be able to share the project and to be able to find out businesses who want to find out more about the project. So you might have seen some of our social media posts, perhaps some of the articles in the local press, or perhaps you've had the opportunity to have a look at the Highland Cup webpage, where we'll be populating that with more information as the scheme develops. So alongside that, we've also been conducting polling with a sample of Highland Council residents. And that's been about trying to find out their attitudes to reusable packaging for takeaway drinks. We've been asking them to express their views on ways that we think we could increase the use of reusable cups, and also asking their views on which items would put them off using a reusable cup scheme. Then we have Christmas, and I hope you all have a good festive break. And when we come back in January and February, we'll be going ahead with the online workshops, which Carla has been explaining. And that's really about exploring the different operational elements of a reusable cup scheme and taking into consideration what needs to be designed in so that the cup scheme can fit the local circumstances of your business and your customer base around the NC 500 route. We'll be starting to build customer awareness that there is a reusable cup scheme coming this year to the NC 500 area. And then we'll also be working to identify the locations for the cup scheme, the pick-up and the collection points, and the businesses that are able to participate in the scheme. And then we move forward to March, and we'll be working with the participating businesses in March to really embed the reusable cup scheme into their operations and the operations of their business. And we'll be starting with the marketing and the communication activity for the reusable cup scheme. So thank you very much for taking the time, as Carla mentioned, at this busy time of year to listen to the webinar today. And if you're watching it on catch up, I hope you've had a good Christmas. Are there any questions that you would like to pose to us today, either through the chat function? And we can wait a few moments to see if there's anything that comes to mind.
If you do have a question, sorry, I realize you're on mute. If anyone, you do, there's a reactions on the top bar of the Teams. There's a button that says reactions. And if you do have a question, just select the raise hand function and I can unmute you. Otherwise, there is plenty of time to sort of think through your considerations about the trial and how that might impact you and where you'd like to input, either through the email address, through the expression of interest to join, or through the poll as well.
So I think it's probably worth saying that after today's session, so probably tomorrow, a copy of this recording will be made available on the Highland Cup webpage. There will be the written script that accompanied it, and there'll also be the link to the online poll. So you might want to watch this again and have a think and then participate in the poll afterwards. And we'll be putting some of these links out in some social media posts over the Christmas period as well, just to see if we can draw in people that perhaps might have been a little bit too busy with their own businesses at the moment to be able to come along so that they've still got the opportunity to participate.
Thanks, Alison. We've got one question, so I'll just unmute. So you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Can you hear me okay?
Yay.
Yes.
Yeah, I got there. The only thing that I am worried about is, like, we are a tiny micro company and we do try hard to be environmentally friendly, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to costs. And there's a lot of things where, yeah, I would like to be a lot more environmentally friendly, but reality is we can't afford to be.
No,
so
that's yeah.
I know it's different for bigger companies. They get bigger income, they can afford different things, but for micro companies, is it going to be affordable for micro companies?
Well, I think that's really what we want to highlight, is that we've been able to apply for a grant which allows us to be able to trial with small businesses like yourself, so that you're not bearing the cost. So this is an opportunity for you as a small business to be able to participate at low or no cost. Okay,
that's great. Yeah, because it would be quite good just to participate just at the beginning to see, right, you know, this is a really good thing. But yeah, good to get it at the low cost. But then after this, is this affordable for a small company?
Yep.
So yeah, that's great.
Yeah. I know, and we hear you, because you've got so many other issues to be dealing with at the moment, you know, rising costs, rising bills, that type of thing. So this is an opportunity to try something at no risk to your business.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I think that we're bang on time, which is always a great thing. Do you have anything else to add, Alison?
No, just thank you very much. And hopefully that's been a useful session about setting out what the project is and who we are, and that we look forward to working with you in the future.
Great, thank you so much. So yes, we'll be sharing the results from the poll as well in the beginning of January, just to confirm what the breakout topics will be. And we look forward to discussing further in January, and have a happy holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.